Item 10C, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a funding agreement regarding preliminary development of a decorative archway for the San Bruno Grade Separation Project and authorizing payment to the Peninsula Corridor Joint Powers Board in an amount not to exceed $125,000.
Honorable Mayor, Council members, good evening. The Grade Separation Project is under construction with the intent to finish this phase of the project with 2 elevator tracks by the end of next year. During the development of the design of this project was part of the design concept to incorporate an arch on the east side of the station as a signature aesthetic gateway to our community, and to create a statement of place and arrival, and to mark the arrival in our downtown. This concept was embraced by the San Bruno Citizen Advisory Committee and was incorporated in the conceptual design for the transit corridor. When the design for the existing phase was finalized, assumed the development of phase 2 with the additional 2 tracks to the east side of existing project, reason why the city signed on a memorandum of understanding with JPB in November of last year to develop jointly the design of this aesthetic element of the project. JPB and the city will develop collaboratively the design, selecting the consultant together, selecting and approving the design alternatives based on the existing scope, 3 alternatives for both of those main possibilities with 2 tracks and with 4 tracks, and paying jointly for the cost. Based on the estimates that cost, the city's cost will be up to $125,000. In this dollar amount is not included the staff time, neither on JPB's or our part. After the design alternatives will be developed, the department will be back to the full council for further action. If you have any questions.
Any questions of staff? Irene?
Thank you. I have kind of a statement. First of all, I'd like to say it's very exciting to get this far. I know you guys have worked on this a long, long time, and it's a monumental time. I'd like to say the decorative element on the grade separation will make a wonderful gateway to our city. And it will also serve as a showpiece for Caltrain, demonstrating their sincere desire to enhance, not just go through our city. I would like to make sure in going forward with this resolution that we don't limit ourselves to looking only at an arch as a final solution, that whomever we hire has some flexibility in suggesting other design elements that might be more desirable or appropriate to our needs and the structural design for the grade separation. So that's, as we adopt this resolution, Calara just said that there's going to be a joint discussion with the JPA about who they hire and what their parameters are. So I just like to make sure that those elements are included.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Through the chair.
Michael.
I'm kind of late to the game on the whole grade separation thing. A lot of this stuff was decided long before I was sitting up here. So I apologize if some of my questions are, if they've been addressed before. If I heard correctly, what you were saying is that initially in what was agreed to, this decorative archway was supposed to be part of the design. And there were changes that were made later that somehow didn't either excluded this feature or I don't understand.
Yeah. Maybe I will try
all of the above
first, and then I am pretty sure Councilmember Ibarra, who has a very long history on this project, will help me out. Initially, when the design of the grade separation project was worked on by the Citizen Advisory Committee, the decision was made that the design will be for a 2-track alternative. For the two-track alternative on the east side was a pedestrian bridge, and the pedestrian bridge, the design itself included a arch-like design. When during the design, the final design for the Great Separation Project, the goal of the design was to meet both, to design for 2 tracks without high-speed rail, but also the final design was for 4 tracks with the intent at that time when JPB went out for construction for this project that will be 2-phased. First phase will be for the first 2 track to the west for Caltrain JPB Great Separation Project, and will follow with phase 2 for the next 2 tracks on the east side to accommodate the high-speed rail. That's why all of the design elements right now for this Great Separation Project is finalized for the west side of the project, but not finalized in all of the details on the east side for the reason that was our assumption at that time, that phase 2 design will continue for the west 2 tracks. And all of those design details will be worked out during that design phase. That's why it was our agreement back in November with JPB that this design exercise agreed on by both JPB and us will include alternatives for both of those possibilities. Unfortunately, the possibility for 4 tracks was very different back then versus how is now. That is much more unlikely that phase 2 will not follow right now for the high-speed rail. That is just short history.
That's
I
about
think
10 years worth.
there might be just a little bit more to this. I think that Clara mentioned, and I think she said very deliberately, that the pedestrian bridge feature of the original project design included an arch-like feature, is what I think you said. And it's my understanding that pedestrian bridge has been eliminated from the project. Is that correct?
Yes.
Wasn't necessary based on the new design.
It's determined not to be necessary. So there's 2 things that happened, several things that happened. Among them are the fact that you've got this, is it going to be 2 tracks, is it going to be 4 tracks? And this need to maintain flexibility in the construction creates some complexities to the progress of the project. There was this pedestrian bridge arch-like feature that provided some visual interest to the project that was a high priority value of the Citizen Advisory Committee and the interest and the statement aspects of the original design for the project. It has always been our intent that the project would accomplish 2 critical objectives. One is to elevate rail traffic off of the street as a basic and necessary safety improvement. That was the impetus for the project. And at the same time, to provide a distinctive architectural statement that would enhance the community and the downtown, and not just simply create an elevated rail structure and a wall. So the changes that have occurred to the project over the very long time that we've been talking about it, and the complexities of the construction have resulted in the problem, if you will, that the project, without some additional attention to the design and the aesthetic of it, could simply end up being a way to get the trains from here to there safely. And that is something that, again, the community has never desired. So now, Councilmember Ibarra, please.
It's
Fill
all
in.
very well said, and the thing is that the mayor was there also, and I don't know how, I mean, I've lost track of how long ago it was when we sat with a Citizens Advisory Committee. I believe it's been 8 years ago. And the whole intent was when we wanted to lay the ground rules and say, what is this Citizens Advisory Committee going to, what is its charge? Are we going to give us lip service or something and then build what you want? And we were assured that whatever we decided on is that the JPB, would do everything in their power to make sure that the grade separation was built the way the city and the Citizens Advisory Committee had hoped it would be. So there were many aesthetic issues, from the rammed earth, the wall, the railings, the circulation, and it came to a point where it was proposed to have a statement. And I think it was a very bold statement, and it was unanimously accepted by the Citizens Advisory Committee. But one thing I want to make sure is that from the start, we were always looking at 4 tracks. And it wasn't until the 11th hour that we were faced with possibly only having 2. And that's when this whole confusion or this whole complexity of JPB Caltrain versus high-speed rail, who's going to pay for what and who's going to pay for that. And then the fact is the JPB Caltrain says we're building our side, which is the west side, and oh, by the way, that archway you wanted is on the high-speed rail side, so let's deal with that when, if and when that comes. So I think it's still important, and I think we do need more study into how it's going to be implemented, with 4 tracks or without 4 tracks. And I think it's important that it is. And I'll open to the mayor to add to that.
Well, there's been an awful lot said, and I don't need to add too much more to it, other than the number of years ago, we formed a CAC at the delight of the JPB because they had been sort of shunned before a long time ago. Mr. Howard Good was here. They were delighted that, in fact, we were willing to cooperate because we were the 5th most dangerous intersection in the state of California. And so it started with safety, and then, of course, it moved into design and how you want things to look as an entrance to your city. So that's what we have here. It's been a long, long effort on behalf of this entire city, and especially the CAC, who worked very, very hard through some contentious meetings there to get what we want, and this is part of it. So this is where we are today, and hopefully within a little over a year from now, we'll be able to cut a ribbon on something that we've all looked forward to for many years.
I will add one comment that the council was very diligent and hold JPB responsible, and all of the elements requested by the Citizen Advisory Committee was incorporated in the design of which were feasible, were incorporated in the existing design of the Great Separation Project, how is under construction now, except how I said, the east side, which still wasn't finalized.
Through the chair, if I could just make one final comment. From what I'm hearing, it really sounds like there still may be some uncertainty, specifically due to high-speed rail coming through San Bruno, and there might be some other changes. And since this is really just an aesthetic change to the design, and while I totally understand how we want that area, especially with this new construction, to look as good as it can, given all the other infrastructure projects that are out there in the city, it would be hard for me to endorse something that's strictly cosmetic at this price, even though it is a very significant development in the city. So I'm kind of torn, but I just don't feel that making that sort of investment in something that's cosmetic, and especially knowing that there is some uncertainty overall on the overall project, where we might still conceivably incur other costs related even to this project, that it would seem maybe premature to make this commitment at this point.
I would just, through the chair, based on the Vice Mayor's comment, is there anything that can be said as far as staff or the subcommittee as far as, again, it is a large project as far as dollar amount. There is uncertainty, obviously, as Councilmember Rivera pointed out, there has been change in things and it's evolved. So what can be said? I mean, it's, I think, a valid point that the Vice Mayor brings up.
I will add that how I said in the beginning, this proposal includes two sex design alternatives. Three different alternatives for a signature design for 2 tracks, and 3 different alternative design for the 4 tracks. Is no uncertainty there. This project will deliver those 6 different alternatives, and will be your decision at the end of that process to choose among those 3 different design alternatives, and you will have the cost associated with those alternatives available for your consideration at that time, when you will have to make the decision if you are able to support or how the funding will that alternative will be recommended. Still, the scope calls for 3 alternative design for the 4 tracks alternative. The uncertainty element here will be a second through 2 tracks or not. But I think right now it's very high, more probable than not that the design what will be recommended for your consideration at the end of this year will be one alternative for the 2 tracks. But I cannot be certain until that time will come.
City Manager.
So this is a very expensive proposition. You're absolutely correct. And it is, first of all, a not to exceed amount. It's a shared cost with the JPB, who is the project sponsor and the funding agency for the completion of the grade separation project. The city is not building this, it's not funding it, and there will be some aesthetic design enhancements incorporated as part of the project that as provided by the JPB. The real question is whether we are going to be successful in getting what we want for the long-term future of this community if we don't participate in this cooperative design process. And that's really yes, it's a lot of money. And it will deliver what we hope will be an adequate range of viable design options, as the director said. And it is the only means, in my view, by which the city has the opportunity, given the road we've traveled and all of the discussions and the issues that have been vetted over this past decade. It's the only way I think that we are likely to protect the opportunity to get the strong architectural statement that we have expected as part of the project, and options for that strong architectural statement.
And if I can interrupt you, I mean, that's all of it in a nutshell. I mean, it's that 8 to 10 years of investment of staff, of the community, $167 million project. This is
I guess, the cherry on top. I mean, and why not? Why can't we have something purely aesthetic? I mean, I understand that it is maybe, quote me not, fiscally irresponsible to spend this kind of money on image. But I'll be damned if this city just puts a railroad track elevated 20 feet in the air and just calls it good and just is satisfied with that. I think the CAC, the mayor, the staffs, the governing boards for this last 10 years have stated that we want something that is going to drastically improve the city of San Bruno, and this is our opportunity. And I just don't want, it's not time for me to cut back. And I think it's a valid request, and it is the cherry on top. Thank you.
This project is for the next 100 years, and maybe some additional investment will create additional opportunities in the whole transit corridor.
Through the
Michael?
chair, if I could have just one more question. You said that there are, that we'll be voting later on 6 possible tracks. You'll excuse the pun. So I'm wondering then, what is the importance of the timing of this decision if there will be other decision points in the future?
Here, the time sensitivity comes in. This is a preliminary design for those different alternatives. Will be a decision point, but you will have to make at the end of the year the timing, based on the timing that the project will be estimated to be done by the end of next year. Then the next phase will follow depending on your decision. Then construction documents will need to be developed for that alternative, which will be chosen jointly by you and then supported by JPB. Then with a change order, probably, that will be given to the contractor to incorporate in this project if will be obvious that the next phase will not be implemented. That's why the timing is sensitive also.
Okay. So potentially, at the next decision point, one of our options could be a 2-track design that still incorporates an arched walkway, pedestrian walkway. Would that then satisfy what we're looking for?
That's only if you, this is the decision point where those options will be developed. If this authorization is not provided, there won't be any options.
This option would exist.
It's obvious.
So you will have future decision points as to what you want to have incorporated in the design and how to fund that, but only if those options are developed as a result of this contract. If this contract does not go forward, there will be, my guess, no further discussion about architectural enhancements to the project.
Absolutely. I think that was obvious. Sorry.
Okay.
Irene?
Well, if Mr. Reichel would like to speak first.
Were you asking for public
Sure.
comment? Having been involved in just a little bit years ago of some of the citizens' oversight, I think you went to the citizens, you asked for their input, they gave it. I think at this point, if you don't at least allow to go a little bit farther before maybe you say no or say yes or no, you need to support your citizens that have worked so hard in giving to you what you asked for.
Thank you. Did you wish to address?
I'm just stretching.
Oh, good. Good for you. Okay. Irene?
I'd just like to kind of maybe clarify, one of the reasons that all this is happening the way it's happening and how it all comes together is so that whatever we wish to have is not something that we tack on, that it's incorporated with the design. And we have suffered in the past as a city with things that have been tacked on. And I think we deserve, as Mr. Reichel said, and citizens desire something that is beautiful and not tacked on. Mr. Ibarra and I had the privilege of working with BART when they designed the BART station and picking the artwork that they used. And it was a fascinating decision, and we had to make it at a certain point so that it could be incorporated with the BART station design. So that's why this. As some of you know, I helped start the Art Commission. We didn't have one before, and I think it's added some interesting pieces to San Bruno and will continue to do so. This is just more of it. You know, we need art. We need beautiful things to look at. So with that, unless there's more comments, I'd like to introduce the resolution to go forward.
Please do.
With the caveat that there's some flexibility in the design.
You mean you want to square it or something?
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Salazar.
Reluctantly, no.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.